Elon Musk thought he was fighting a lawsuit, but Caroline Levitt uncovered the truth: a bribed judge, a rigged trial, and a scandal that shook the legal system. It started as just another day in court, the kind where suits fill the benches, lawyers whisper in hushed tones, and a judge presides with an air of authority that commands the room. But something was off. Elon Musk sat at the defendant's table, his fingers drumming idly against the polished wood. The case against him wasn't just another lawsuit. It was a high-stakes corporate war disguised as a legal battle. His opponents, a powerful group of investors with deep political ties, were accusing him of fraudulent business practices. It was absurd. The allegations were flimsy at best. But Musk had seen enough of the world to know that logic didn't always win in a courtroom. He glanced at his lead attorney, Russell Greer, a no-nonsense trial lawyer with a reputation for dismantling weak cases. Greer was confident, at least at first. Then came the first red flag. "Objection, Your Honor. The prosecution is making baseless claims with no supporting evidence." Judge Bernard Langford barely looked up. "Overruled." Greer hesitated for half a second, a flicker of confusion crossing his face. The prosecution had just introduced an argument with zero legal standing, but the judge let it slide like it was routine. Musk leaned in. "That's a stretch, don't you think?" he murmured. Greer didn't answer. He was too busy trying to figure out what just happened. Then came another blow. "Your Honor, we request permission to introduce key documents outlining the inconsistencies in the plaintiff's claims." Judge Langford sighed, rubbing his temple like he was dealing with a minor inconvenience. "Denied." Greer straightened his tie, a subtle but telling gesture. Musk wasn't the only one noticing the pattern. Every ruling so far had gone against them. Every single one. The prosecution's case, which should have been riddled with holes, suddenly seemed airtight. Not because it was strong, but because they were being allowed to say whatever they wanted. It was like the judge had already made up his mind. Musk crossed his arms, scanning the judge's expression. Langford was composed. Neutral. Too neutral. He wasn't reacting, wasn't engaging, wasn't even pretending to be interested in fairness. The next few hours only made things worse. Whenever Greer tried to push back, Langford shut him down. Whenever the prosecution introduced shaky evidence, it was accepted without question. Witnesses favorable to Musk were dismissed as irrelevant. These weren't just bad rulings, they were deliberate. By midday recess, the tension in the air was thick. Musk and Greer sat in a quiet corner of the courthouse cafeteria, neither touching their food. "This isn't just bias," Greer said finally, his voice low. "This is something else." Musk already knew. He'd dealt with competitors willing to play dirty before. But this was something bigger. Someone wanted him to lose, badly. The problem was he had no proof, for now, but someone else was already digging for it. Caroline Levitt wasn't the kind of journalist who took things at face value. She'd built her career on exposing power plays, corporate corruption, and backdoor deals that never made it to the front pages. And something about Musk's case felt off. She'd been watching the trial from the beginning, tuning in like everyone else. But the more she listened, the less sense it made. Musk's legal team was airtight. His attorneys weren't the kind to miss details. Yet every time they made a move, it got shut down before it could gain traction. That wasn't just bad lawyering. That was interference. She dug in. Levitt started with Judge Bernard Langford. On paper, his record was clean. Too clean. A well-respected federal judge with no history of controversy, no past rulings that hinted at bias. He was the kind of official people assume was beyond reproach. But in her experience, squeaky clean records usually meant someone had scrubbed them. She pulled financial records, campaign donations, any connection to high-profile corporate figures. At first, nothing stood out, but then she found it, a trust fund buried beneath layers of legal jargon. One of Langford's family trusts had received a series of anonymous deposits over the past 2 years. The money came in irregular waves, hundreds of thousands of dollars at a time, routed through offshore accounts that didn't lead back to any one person. That alone wasn't damning. Wealthy families had complicated finances, but the timing? That was the problem. One of the first major deposits landed weeks before Langford was assigned to Musk's case. Levitt's gut tightened. That wasn't a coincidence. She expanded her search, tracing who stood to gain from Musk's downfall. The prosecution's lead attorney, Daniel Forsyth, had an interesting connection. He'd worked as legal counsel for multiple energy companies, all of which had lobbied aggressively against Musk's ventures in solar energy and electric vehicles. It was all coming together. Someone wanted Musk out of the picture, someone powerful. But suspicions weren't proof. She needed something concrete. Emails, recorded conversations, anything that couldn't be ignored. That's when she got a tip. A former legal clerk who had worked in Langford's office for 2 years reached out under an encrypted email. The message was short. You're looking in the right place. Langford doesn't make big rulings without outside approval. If you want the real story, check his travel records. Mexico, late 2023. He wasn't there for vacation. Levitt's fingers flew across the keyboard. She ran Langford's official travel logs and cross-checked them against private jet charters from corporate accounts. And there it was, late 2023, a 3-day trip to Cancun, the same weekend that high-profile executives from Tesla's biggest competitors attended a private business retreat. Langford wasn't just there. He'd been flown in on their dime. Her pulse pounded. This was it. Langford wasn't just biased. He was bought. But exposing it would require more than just documents. It needed to go public in a way no one could ignore. Levitt didn't waste time. The pieces were all there. Financial trails, anonymous deposits, off-the-books meetings with executives who stood to gain from Musk's downfall. But in today's world, evidence wasn't enough. It had to hit hard. It had to be undeniable. She reached out to a trusted source in cybersecurity. Ethan Vaughn, a former DOJ analyst turned whistleblower. If anyone could find the missing link, it was him. I need access to any encrypted communications linked to Langford. If he's covering his tracks, he's not doing it alone, she said over a burner call. Ethan hesitated. This isn't just a bad ruling, Caroline. If Langford's involved in something deeper, you're stepping into dangerous territory. She exhaled sharply. I don't care. Just tell me if you can get something. A long pause, then, give me 24 hours. She barely had 12. The trial was moving at breakneck speed, and if Musk's team didn't have something soon, he was going down. Then the next morning, her phone lit up. Ethan Vaughn. Check your email. It's worse than you think. Levitt opened the file inside. It was a set of leaked emails between Judge Langford and a corporate lobbyist named Philip Grayson, a man with direct ties to the prosecution's lead attorney, Daniel Forsyth. The emails weren't vague. They were direct. One message stood out. The deal is simple. Ensure the rulings favor Forsyth's clients, and you won't have to worry about retirement. The fund will take care of itself. Just make sure Musk's people don't get a single win in that courtroom. Levitt's stomach dropped. It was bribery, plain and simple. And worse, Langford responded, Understood. As long as everything stays off the books, we won't have an issue. This wasn't just a bad judge. This was a judge on payroll. She wasted no time. Within 3 hours, Levitt went live on national television. This isn't just courtroom bias, she said, her voice sharp with urgency. This is corruption at the highest level. We have proof that Judge Bernard Langford accepted financial incentives to manipulate the case against Elon Musk. And here's the worst part. He did it in coordination with the prosecution's legal team. She shared screenshots of the emails. She read excerpts on air. She outlined the offshore payments, the Mexico retreat, the corporate ties. It was explosive. Social media erupted within minutes. Judge Langford's scandal was trending. People demanded an investigation. Politicians weighed in. Even those who weren't fans of Musk couldn't ignore it. But back in the courtroom, Musk's legal team was still in the dark. They didn't know the bomb had just dropped, but they were about to find out. And when they did, everything changed.